everybody, it's Ebony JB and I am here with another video, and in this video today we are going to discuss my top 20 albums of 2020. Wow. I have created a list of my top 20 albums of 2020. Of course, this is my own personal opinion about what albums I thought slapped sonically, lyrically, the creative sense of the album, how many hits were in the album, how well received it was with the the general public, all of those things. I'm just literally going to discuss and say why therefore it's in my list of my top 20 albums of 2020. I've not listened to, of course, every album that has been released in 2020, and so I'm just talking about out of what I've listened to, what is making the top 20 for me. Do you know what I mean? It's impossible for me to say out of everything this is the top 20, because have I heard everything? No, only out of what I've heard, this is the top 20 for me. And I'm gonna, of course, still talk about some close contenders, some notable mentions, some ones that could have made the top 20 but didn't quite make it and are possibly just in my top 30, top 40. Do you know what I mean? I feel like 2020 has been a really interesting year for music. I feel like considering all the things that have happened and the significant people that we have lost this year in music industry and not in the music industry, I feel like just the music realm was really shook this year and had to act accordingly, had to act differently, with all the losses we've experienced and all the political things we've experienced. So there was more than just music being released this year. There was music with a political drive. There was music, that was heartfelt and and mourning. There was music that there was all sorts of just sources of why music was created this year or why music was let out this year. I'm not only going to talk about notable mentions and close contenders, some that almost made the top 20 but didn't. I'm also going to talk about some EPs that I really liked on video. So just stay tuned and we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So number 20 in my list is It Is What It Is by THUNDERCAT. And that album was released at the beginning of April in 2020, so released quite early on in the year. And why I really liked It Is What It Is by THUNDERCAT is of course because sonically it sounded beautiful, it sounded stupendous. It was of course going to sound amazing, with THUNDERCAT being the amazing bassist that he is. No surprise that within the It Is What It Is album we had trickles of that bass coming in there and fused within the sound, within the songs that was in there, making the song sound just so rich and sultry and filled with, I don't know, charisma. I very much loved the It Is What It Is album simply because sonically it was stupendous. On top of that, the vocals were just so smooth and silky, matching the smooth production throughout the album. It Is What It Is had many hits in there for me. My favorite songs from It Is What It Is being Interstellar Love. Oh, sonically that sounded like he was going in a spaceship through, I don't know, the planet of romance. Was great. Of course, Dragon Ball Do-Rag. I mean, I remember going to an event in the summertime when things were freed up a little bit and hearing that song in the function, and it was just so beautiful. I was looking around like, who's the DJ? Who's playing this? Who's playing this beautiful music? Dragon Ball Do-Rag is just a hit, with Interstellar Love. And also I loved Fair Chance with, Ty Dolla Sign in there, or T.Y. Dolla Sign in there, doing his thing as per usual, featuring in every bloody album that is, available. Have King of the Hill, I also really appreciate as well. Black Qualls as well, I very much love that song as well. Great to have the Childish Gambino feature in there. It's definitely an album that had to make my top 20 because sonically it was great, lyrically it was funky, creative and different, and it was great to have something from such a talented instrumentalist such as THUNDERCAT. Kind of fun, sitting next to you, and I'm making love to you. Ooh. Everyone look at my do-rag. 19 is High Off Life by Future. Now, Future really surprised me this year because I feel like he does have a little bit of a bitty discography. Some albums really slap, and then some albums is just like, did we really need it? Did we need this body of work? In this case, when he dropped High Off Life, I was like, wow, this is excellent. Like, this is for me one of Future's strongest body of work. And see how old tapes on Future are just like really solid and slightly untouchable. But for me, High Off Life, just a really good development. There was a lot of newness to it. Definitely felt like a new kind of creative journey, a new aspect that Future was trying. Like, it was dark in like a western sci-fi, like there was a running kind of strings kind of thing going on in High of Life, and different plays on it, and it was good, and I liked that. Sonically it was something different that I've never really heard from Future work on top of before. Just felt like he was just really in his bag. I cannot lie to you guys, like this guy was just riding on beats like it was nothing. I don't know how people can really hate High of Life when we have this album starting off with Trapped in the Sun, and it just sounds like he trapped in the sun. Like, when you hate an album with that kind of start, it was a great start for me. When I get it made fun, I get a plug to my nigga, I get it to my son. You need to learn the recipe, I put a 3 on a 1. As I said, it was a different soundscape. It was different what Future was working with here production wise, and I loved it for that. It showed his versatility. It showed that he can grow in a way that makes a lot of creative sense, try things out. It really showcased like his artistry basically. Riding Strikers, are you kidding me? Even High Tech Tech is alright. Hosted with Demons. Oh, How to Choose One. Pray for a Key. Too Comfortable. And he's not even saying much.
Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable.
Oh my lord. Like, it's just simple.
Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable.
Of course, we had, you know, the hit that came at the start of the year, Life is Good featuring Drake, where I believe Drake and Future's bits both were really fun bits. Accepting My Flaws was fantastic. That's definitely one of the songs I play the most from High of Life. It's Accepting My Flaws. Tycoon was a good single as well. Not as strong as Life is Good, but still a good single. We've got 100 Shooters of Meek Mill and Doughboy. You know, I feel like there was many solid songs in here. Many hits in here that you just have to... You can't ignore really. At 18, I put WUNNA by GUNNA. Now, surprisingly, GUNNA made this list. When I was looking back at, you know, just albums this year and thinking, what's gonna make my top 20? What have I been listening to a lot? I actually did listen to WUNNA by GUNNA quite a lot this year. It had a lot of longevity for me. That was released... WUNNA by GUNNA was released in May, at the ending of May, and it's kind of followed me throughout the year. I feel like in WUNNA, GUNNA is doing his best. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, and that was kind of like the running narrative for this album. Like, you know, you don't have to like GUNNA's music. You don't have to like it's not like he's an MC. He's not a very skilled rapper, you know. And most of the time, you're not even listening to him for what he's saying. You're just listening to him because of how he says things on top of a very good beat. It's just the flow, really. It's not really the content. It's not really the lyricism. So you don't have to like him if you're somebody that appreciates that. Even though he's not like the most skilled lyricist out there, he's good at what he does. And WUNNA really showcased that. It showcased that GUNNA is good at what he does. His avenue and his field, he's very good at it. Stronger than Drip or Drown 2 or Stronger than Drip Season. For me, some of the strongest kind of tapes were Drip Season 3 and, you know, and the first Drip or Drown. And I feel like WUNNA really showed his evolution, showed that, yeah, this guy has mastered his avenue and he's good at it, you know? And it was very wholesome and very clear in showcasing what Gunna's craft is as an artist in this new wave. Favorite hits from there: Argentina, All on the Way as well. I like Argentina as well. I like Nasty Girl on Camera, Met Gala, of course. I also like the one with Roddy Ricch. I like the Top Floor track with Travis. I feel like that one's a bit slept on. And of course, things like Do Better.
I wanna see you do better. On a high in the train in the weather.
Yeah. Hey, moving on to the 17th spot. It's actually a late entry. There's a few late entries in this list, which is why it's taken me quite a long time to plan this video. Positions by ARIANA Grande. This was a late entry, and it's that right at the ending of October, and I really liked Positions. Had some beautiful songs in there. I feel like ARIANA Grande has had a very strong run in the pop world, and you know, she's really marked her spot of recently in these last few years, and this just really consolidated that. The Positions album, Positions, it's the track itself was beautiful, and then we have other 34 plus 35. Beautiful sonically, sounds great, and of course her harmonies are just always on point. We have things like Just Like Magic, we have Point of View, simple, elegant, but so efficient. Like Off the Table with The WEEKND. I mean, Like her songwriting skills was really beautiful here again, and I liked the feel of this album a lot more actually than albums such as Sweetener. So if I was actually going to rank like her last like couple bodies of works of which one I enjoyed the most, it would definitely be Thank You Next, then it would actually be Positions, then it would be Sweetener. But yeah, Positions for me was brilliant. I just loved the theme, the general like kind of love of course was there in the theme, but there was a bit of course, how can I explain it, like cheekiness, a bit of like sexuality, a bit of sensuality. There was like that being explored there as well, and it was merged really nicely with self-reflection as well, and I really like it. So that's why even though it was a late entry, it made its way onto my top 20. My favorite song from that album definitely has to actually be the single Positions. I feel like that is a big tune, and it deserves all the love and all the hype that it gets. Next favorite is definitely Point of View, because it's just stupid. How can you say, love to see me from your point of view? Like, what? Love me the way that you love me too. I love to see me from your point of view. I wanna try. 16th spot is an album that I really love this year, and I feel like needs a lot more love. Is Limbo by AMINE. Now Limbo for me was just such a strong album, again showcasing this artist so well. It was like his sophomore album, I believe. It was delivered so well. I feel like it, the album definitely felt like dealing with his own personal growth, understanding his own and trying to grasp life and its losses and its woes and its ups and its downs, romances and how romances can go wrong and go right, you know, relationships and how relationships go wrong and right just in general, and then children and parenthood and stuff like that. There was so much like about life stages in this album. You know, Mama, Becky, some of those being my favorite tracks. Roots with JID, that was a really brilliant track. I love Roots. And then we then have a bit more of the fun side of I mean, with tracks like Woodlawn and Pressure in My Palms. But even Pressure in My Palms changes halfway and gets a bit deep as well, and I feel like definitely more people gotta check him out, especially this album, because it really shows what he's capable of. And the fact that we even had the Injury Reserve feature in there, considering the loss of one of their members as well, it was just it was just different. As I said, things that were released in 2020, because of the type of year that it was, many of the music just hit in a different way.
Kind of nigga am I if I bring them in this world? I want it, but she call it, she want me to girl. But what kind of nigga am I if I bring them in this world?
My 15th spot is Pray for Paris by WESTSIDE GUNN. This year for me was a beautiful year. I discovered some really excellent artists and got introduced to some really beautiful music. I've only been doing YouTube for a year. It was a year in September, and when I first started thinking, yeah, I'm going to do music in YouTube, I had no clue who some people were, and then like 6 months in, here I am reacting to like some music that really transformed my listening experience on a daily. I had always appreciated hip-hop, old school hip-hop, 90s hip-hop. Of course, really liked people like Nipsey Hussle. I'm the biggest fan of Nipsey. And I never really knew that this world and this space existed until I started YouTube. And that's one of the beauties of starting YouTube. I got introduced to some great stuff. One of these, you know, one of them being people like Griselda and WESTSIDE GUNN, Benny and Conway. So my first time ever listening to a Griselda member was actually Pray for Paris. And I remember, if you go back to look at that video and you look at my more recent, like my Griselda series, you can see how I've grown in appreciating the sound so much. It's like, because when I first heard WESTSIDE, I was like, wow. Of course I appreciated the old school hip-hop, but I never knew hip-hop like I never knew it had resurfaced. I was like, so it took a lot for me to digest WESTSIDE. And I remember a lot of people wondering why, because like it's just like that gangster underground, you know, raw, real detailed hip-hop artist. And it's just like, yeah, I know that, but I didn't know that exists now. So I'm thinking like, I thought that was all gone. I thought like it was just like all getting modernized now. I didn't know that there was this like beautiful resurgence of that sound. And when I heard it, I was like, wow, course, Westside's tone of voice is so unique as well. So hearing him in Pray for Paris for the first time and hearing his tone of voice, I was like, there are a few, of course, old school artists that sound a bit like how he does, and he sounds a bit like them. But he has like a very, even though he's reminiscent to others, it's still quite unique and singular to him. So digesting his tone and how he flows was another thing as well. He sparked such a big intrigue, and that was why I had to make my list, because it sparked an intrigue, and only things that spark an intrigue are good things, you know what I mean? They have to be good for you to want to go and listen to more of it. The production throughout was excellent. As I listened to tracks more and more, they grew on me more and more. I remember initially not liking, I think, Allah Sent Me. I felt like it droned a bit too much. And then as I listened more and more to Allah Sent Me, I was like, wait, I kind of like this.
I miss the days and breaks, it's only 19. I need 100 right now.
I then got to realize why Allah Sent Me did sound like it droned so much and hanged so much. First time listening to things, I was a bit like, oh, what is this? It's new. I need to digest it more. As I digested it more, it grew so well with me throughout the year, because this was a very early released album. I also grew to like Eurostep, French Toast, Clairborn Kick was good as well with Boldy James. The Pray for Paris for me had to be my top 20. It sparked intrigue, introduced me to some great music, and really grew with me throughout the year. So yeah, had to. I'm gonna go into the R&B, because number 14 for me is It Was Good Until It Wasn't by KEHLANI. I remember when I listened and reacted to this album, me thinking like it's gonna be very hard for her to top this. It was that solid for me, and considering the fact when it was released and you know the year it was released in, I think it was released in a lockdown, like quarantine lockdown period, it did very well. For me, lyrically, she was sounding like one songstress in there, some really sensual stuff, as well as some really emotional and raw stuff. I appreciated just the diversity for It Was Good Until It Wasn't, and I appreciated her how expositionary it was. Like, it was very exposing, you know, it was very like introducing a lot of different elements to KEHLANI. We had You Should Be Here, which was like, oh yeah, KEHLANI's got something. She's got something. There's something there. Really showed it. Sweet Sexy Savage was excellent. I feel like vibes in there that solidified that, yeah, she has got it. You know what I mean? It was good until it wasn't. Really tied that all together and put it, you know, with a little knot and said, here you go. Because it was like, even though Sweet Sexy Savage was so good in like showing that she can tackle and, you know, do these different sounds, It Was Good Until It Wasn't showed growth within that. It Was Good Until It Wasn't, for me, of course, I like the track Toxic, I like the track Can I like Change Your Life with JHENE, I like Hate the Club with Masajo, I love Can You Blame Me with Lucky Day, especially because I just like Lucky Day's bit, I can't lie. Grieving with James Blake, so raw, so elegant as well. And then open brackets Passionate, wow, that song. So I really do appreciate It Was Good Until It Wasn't, because I feel like in this album, KEHLANI really solidifies her sound, shows us growth. And my favorite song from there is probably gonna be Serial Lover or open brackets Passionate. Or Can I? Even Can I really like a lot, but I do really love Serial Lover.
Think I'm addicted to romance, showing my whole hands, laying my get in my zone now, to stay in my zone now. Lord no, love hard, fuck hard. Serial Lover, Serial Lover.
13th spot is Insomnia by Chip, Skepta and Young Az. Now here is a UK tape that I very, very much enjoyed. I feel like Insomnia, we had three people coming together that we never really predicted would come together, but when they did come together, it made sense. I remember a lot of people saying that, you know, it didn't make sense for Young Az, it should have just been Chip and Skepta, you know, they are the two greats, and Young Az is a bit like, you know, whatever they believe that he is. But I definitely believe that Young Az was needed there. I feel like you have Skepta, who was like an OG, Chip, who's kind of like an OG, he's like an in-between, he's a bit like a middle child, and then we have someone like Young Az and new sound and new wave in UK music. I feel like it's great to have those three like timepieces together, if you will, coming together to create an album. And I feel like Young Az definitely contributed very well and intertwined his sound with sounds that are very different from his very well there. I feel like this album actually didn't get as much love as I would have liked it to get. I definitely know that I enjoyed it a lot. 12 songs, it didn't get repetitive, it was so concise, so good. We had beautiful tracks in there like Traumatized, High Road, Sin City, Golden Brown, even Ways, and you know, every single song I liked a lot. Mains, like every song.
See the unemployment high, everybody scrapping. Trap rap popping, population trapping. Basic but you popping, I ain't look.
Yeah.
You see what Bush can do to humans, that shit real evil. I never made P off anything that kills people, except for the times I touch mic and kill people.
Okay, so number 12 spot is My Turn by Lil Baby. Now, Lil Baby, oh my goodness, Lil Baby, what he did with this album was, it was very hard to not put it higher, but it's just because so much, I feel like there was a lot of good body of works this year, so it kind of got the 12th spot, but nonetheless it's in my top 20. It's so solid. Again, just like how GUNNA really showed off who he was, and just like KEHLANI showed off who she was, My Turn did that for Lil Baby. And it's in the title. He literally showed that it's his turn now to shine. It's his turn on the stage. Really showed what he's capable of, and he showed how he can be one of the new greats of this new day and age and this new wave of rap trap music. You know, he showed his versatility. He showed that he can be a rapper. You know, he can actually bring some rawness and some you know and some reality into his lyrics, you know what I mean, and make things really relatable and things like that. My Turn definitely showed his skills, because it was a different type of lyricism that he was showing here. Not intelligence, not to say that he sounded like stupid before, but he definitely expressed himself in a different way in this album, and definitely came across as a little bit more serious in this album, because he definitely wanted to showcase that it's his turn. So many hits in there. I mean, this album, I've been listening to it since it came out, all the way to the end of 2020. And even the deluxe gave us a very big hit, We Paid, with 42 Doug. So I feel like even the deluxe did something good. It had that We Paid, it had the bigger picture, again showcasing this new serious of Baby and how he's able to address things, very serious things, in a more, I don't know, sophisticated way. And the deluxe even brought something to the table, let alone the actual albums. Baby's deluxe, I feel like definitely was one of the strongest deluxes this year. It's in there. As I was saying, it has Can't Explain, Something to Prove, which was the single, consistent, Emotionally Scarred. I even really like Same Thing. Yeah, Same Thing stayed with me. Even Grace with 42 Doug, and just how it started with Get Ugly, like Get Ugly. I was like, what the hell? What?
I see it and I don't act like I'm blind. I'm confident it won't be one of mine. Damn, Biggie's OG salute me. A stylist can't even style me. The what my diamonds real, I said of course. I just play young age, learn how to get paid. I know I went there for you. At least I said I'm sorry.
Number 11th spot, No Pressure by Logic. Now, I am a big Logic fan. If you've watched my No Pressure reaction, you know that Logic is someone I said that I expressed that I've been a fan of. So having him retire this year was an experience in itself. It was an excellent conclusion. I've never really heard such a great conclusion like that, kind of echoed the start of his career with Under Pressure and the success that was, and yet even though it echoed that, was different, because it was of course evolved Logic, older Logic. Appreciated the nostalgia and yet the freshness of No Pressure. To me, that was beautiful. Having that nostalgia and freshness is a very hard thing to achieve. Sometimes the nostalgia can be too strong and it's just like you're just trying to be your own self. I had to make my list because of that, not only because of, you know, the beauty of how it marinated those two kind of aspects, but also because it was definitely a strong album. Some strong hits in there, a great theme that was maintained throughout, and Logic definitely not feeling under pressure or not feeling pressurized in this album at all, considering how he's been pressurized in the middle of his career, sort of, with things that he released past Incredible True Story. Considering like how much pressure you got then after that album about how he wasn't making stuff that was great, was cringy or was cringeworthy or la-di-da-da. And a lot of those bodies of work, I could definitely sense a bit of the pressure coming in of him trying to do something different but also trying to please. But in this album, definitely it fit the title of No Pressure. Felt like him just being himself. Sonically, production was brilliant. Of course, it was executive produced by No ID, but produced by Six, you know, Logic's go-to producer, and Six and Logic, they're great together. So of course, sonically, it sounded great, and sonically very reminiscent to Under Pressure. And then we have I really liked how we got like open mic / Aquarius, where he literally does sound like he's doing like a spoken word kind of rap thing. And we've got so many excellent samples. Erykah Badu, we've got samples from even Tyler the Creator, we've got samples from Kanye. We have very good samples being played upon in this album. We have very good like charge tracks like Hit My Line and Amen. And then we have slowed down tracks like Open Mic / Aquarius 3 and Dad Bod. Dad Bod, I love the creativity of it, him addressing his current situation, how he's a father. Soul Food 2, that was like nostalgia at its peak in the album.
What's the meaning of life? To live it, what I'm guessing. Live it. Crazy. Hip hop is amazing. One day you're on top and the next they wanna erase them. Goddamn, when I'm facing everything that I say is like a cash in. But I can't let that residence begin to fuck up one out of here. Buy a brick and roll and light and get high as the stratosphere.
10. We've done the first 10, and my 10th spot is The Price of Tea in China by Boldy James. Now that album for me, again, it was me getting introduced to Griselda, and getting introduced to Griselda led me to, of course, Boldy James. And I listened to that tape a little later on in this year when it was released. But when I did, I was like, yeah, this album has definitely made me a fan of Boldy James. I like his nonchalant tone. I like how it's like so like thuggish and non-caring. Like it's just like I like that about Boldy James. It's a thing that you're either gonna like or you're not gonna like. And when I was introduced to that kind of style by him in The Price of Tea in China, I was like, yeah, I automatically like it. But going away from that, just the sounds in The Price of Tea in China, the sound manipulation, some tracks just really got me. Some tracks like Surf and Turf, Grey October, Giant Slide, like, oh my god. Of course, we have got the legendary producer, The Alchemist, so of course the sound manipulation was gonna sound excellent. But yeah, it was just, that's one comment I have for it. Just the manipulation of sounds within its production throughout the album was great.
Gut's green, black beans, but the gut's green. Half brick of that Justine off a crack, still call it think of lad when I'm young. Plug with the source, gun in my shorts, blood was the sport, jump on the porch, hung like a horse, ones with the force.
And following on from that, in the 9th spot is From King to a God by Conway. Now, From King to a God by Conway was a great album to receive a bit later on in the year. And Conway is my like favorite of Griselda. So many great features in there, you know, with Dej Loaf, with Method Man. We had AMINE, Freddie GIBBS. Of course, we had El Camino, which I really liked in Forever Dropping Tears. I really liked that. And we had Lloyd Banks. Like we had quite a lot of good features here. But we also had Conway just doing some great stuff. For me, the From King intro was definitely like one of like the strongest like intros in terms of Griselda tapes I've had this year. I really liked that intro.
Even though behind the scenes of this industry shit is draining, I've been keeping quiet, I've been refraining from speaking my mind.
Really like Forever Dropping Tears. That one was just such a tune for me. So yeah, of course, Conway's tape had to make it on there. It was wholesome, it was really comprehensive. I feel like even though it wasn't my favorite Griselda tape this year, it definitely was a tape that was making the cut because of how wholesome it was. Production was great. We saw versatility as well, because there was even like a more modern hip-hop beat with Answer, which had Amani Caesar in there, which Conway like dominated as well. It was my first time as well kind of hearing him rap over such a beat. So we saw versatility as well, some hit tracks in there as well. Strong album from the spot. And in terms of my 8th spot, following on from that, is Burden of Proof. Now, Burden of Proof, that for me is like, it's the strongest album that in terms of the Griselda scene. Like I've listened to that the most, despite how it's like not long ago it was released. Burden of Proof for me, beautiful. I feel like that was a very strong tape from Benny. I feel like he also had a lot of pressure because of how well I've heard that The Plugs I Met was received and how well Tana Talk 3 was received. People were really thinking, what's he gonna deliver next when he delivers his next big body of work? And I feel like Burden of Proof matched that energy of his previous tapes, which is excellent. So then my favorite track on there being Traded All. I love the sincerity and how exposing that track is. I love Over the Limit as well, because Dom Kennedy just kills it, and that track has such a charge that I feel like I could do anything when I listen to that track. Really like One Way Flight with Freddie GIBBS. There was 12 songs. It was very concise, and I liked like 10 of them. Like I'm listening to like 10 of the tracks, so I'm listening to the most of the quantity of the album. Like I know I'm listening to the quantity of his album more than I'm listening to the quantity of other Griselda members. So that's how I knew that I had to put it a bit higher than those other ones, which is why it takes the 8th spot, sorry.
For niggas chasing goals and I targeted myself. Some of my best verses, I'm just talking to myself. They won't let me live for shit.
Windows tinted, drop 200, so they rush it to the limit. Cop the same day and got the windows tinted.
In the 7th spot, we have got Chilombo by JHENE AIKO. Now, I'm a big fan of JHENE AIKO, as in I like her whole discography. Sail Out to Sold Out to Trip. I like everything. Her voice is so subtle and gentle, but it has power in it. And she's created some really, really emotional songs for me that I'm so emotionally tied to. She just has a way of expressing things, lyrically writing things that it just is so relatable and makes so much sense. And in Chilombo, I feel like there was the biggest amount of growth there. She really felt like she was in this big state of like reflection, capturing all these different vibes, having learned a lot, having understood a lot, having grasped a lot, and translating that into her music. Definitely felt a lot of growth, considering all the things she's experienced and grown through. She was able to relay that in such an elegant and subtle way in this album that was so beautiful. Tracks like Morning Doves, tracks like Magic Hour, 10,000 Hours with Nas. Oh, Summer 2020 interlude, are you kidding me? That interlude is like one of the best interludes I've heard this year. Define Me interlude, listening to that interlude. Surrender with Dr. Chill again, like it's just like, and then BS with her and Pissy Fairy, like, you know, and None of Your Concern, Trigger Freestyle, starting off of Lotus. Oh, I mean, there was so much beauty and elegance in this album, and that's like the key word for this album, elegance. It was really elegant R&B, and I loved it for that.
When it coming back, you can't even tell no one, 'cause they're not here to hear it out. I just say things differently. You don't see the urgency. That really worries me.
Chilombo takes the 7th place. The 6th place is another UK joint, Big Conspiracy by J Hus. This album was released in January, and it's December now, and I'm still listening to it as hard as when I listened to it when it first released. Big Conspiracy by J Hus was him, you know, he's come out, he's dropped this album, and we were not ready. We were not ready to see the hits that he was sitting on. Like, he was sitting on hits, and he put them all into this album and created a very solid body of work. One of the most solid bodies of work in the UK scene, and I believe the last 5 years. I'm not even joking. It's that deadly, it's that wholesome, it's that complete. Big Conspiracy by J Hus is up there. It is up there. And I'm a J Hus fan, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but anyone can listen to this track, this body of work, and just hear how he's intertwined some beautiful sounds with the UK kind of hip-hop sound, and the production from J5, and it's just like, what are you doing? You're just making art. That's what you're doing. He really showed why he is one of the biggest people in the game in terms of the UK scene right now. Big Conspiracy shows that, as in starting with the track Big Conspiracy, then going to Helicopter. Are you dumb? Have you guys heard Helicopter like I've heard it? I don't know if people hear songs like how I hear it, because when I hear it, I get goosebumps. It touches me in my soul. It touches me in every essence of my being. It's like, what?
Uniform, fence in the helicopter. I see pigs fly, but I never seen a unicorn. Tryna find cover on somebody. Say you wanna bang, you don't look like you sure.
And having the money and being a hustler.
Sorry, J Hus's Big Conspiracy had me thinking that, you know, every other sound in the UK was a big conspiracy, and this was the knowledge and this was the truth, and that was it. Like, what the heck? This was a very solid album, and the fact that it was released straight at the start of the year and has the longevity throughout the whole year shows how strong it is. Like, it's not an album that came out and died within the year. It definitely lasted a long time and will continue to last a long time. 5th place, another late entry, Made in Lagos by WIZKID. Now, I'm a big fan of WIZKID. I was anticipating Made in Lagos, and the minute it dropped, I was like, this is in my top 5. It is. it has one of my top songs of the year in there already as well. So it's no way that it couldn't be in my top 5 of my albums. Made in Lagos is a very beautiful sound. It's elegant, it's mature, WIZKID. I saw some people hating on this album and I was thinking, but some people were saying, oh, it's not like, it doesn't have like genuine Afrobeat sounds enough. And I'm thinking to myself, how can you say that? The Afrobeat sound is there, it's intertwined elegantly. It's not in your face as much as like it used to be, because he's showing how he is able to take that sound and make something beautiful with it in another way. It's really showing creativity, because it's hard to take such a rich sound and still maintain it whilst doing other things with it and manipulating it in a different way. So my favorite song from it is Essence with Thames. Beautiful, beautiful song.
My body,
Oh, like why?
you don't need no other body, baby.
My 4th place is Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon by Pop Smoke. Now, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon by Pop Smoke is one of the most heart-wrenching releases of 2020, because within the album, of course, with us having losing him this year, and within the album, him kind of speaking like he knew in some of the tracks, especially the intro with Bad B from Tokyo, with him saying, I looked my killer straight in his eyes, I'm talking face to face, and having tracks like, you know, Got It On Me, and then having, like, there was so many subtle references within that he was just cooking up in the studio, him not knowing when he's going, and then him going that same year, and then having these songs released. It was a very sad experience. I remember when I listened to it and did the reaction to it, I remember being brought to tears, because of that, but also because of just the talent. And I feel forever frustrate me how he's been taken from this world so soon. But in this album, had to make it in my list because of how well, again, it showed who is Pop Smoke.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Bad bitch from Tokyo. Wait, I'm going state to state. Look, I look my killer in his eyes. Yeah, I'm talking face to face. My nigga.
Intro I listen to a lot. Then we have the hits, of course, Aim for the Moon and For the Night. But my favorite track from it is definitely 44 Bulldog, and that's even in my top songs of the year. 44 Bulldog is just excellent. I love that track. Of course, we have tracks like Something Special, What You Know About Love. These tracks interpolating some old school R&B hits, a lot of 50 Cent interpolation as well. We had the classic Dio in there. Then in the deluxe, I feel like he had another strong deluxe, because we had tracks like Hotel Lobby. We had tracks like The Imperfections interlude. We also had Hello. We have Hello with the boogie, with the hoodie, in which it was just we just had very good deluxe from him as well. So Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon is up there. Of course, Pop Smoke wasn't the biggest lyricist. It wasn't about lyrics. It was about energy and how he could fill the room, and his music definitely could fill a room and make you want to get up and dance and fill you with energy and just, you know, that's what his music was about, and he did that excellently. Of course, Mac Miller left us in 2018, but he has a posthumous release this year called Circles, and for me, I really thoroughly enjoyed that album. Again, it hit different because, again, there was lyrics in there that was like, just like how it was with Pops, these things happen, like with Pop and with Mac, them addressing things, not knowing what was going to happen in the future, really, possibly having some kind of sense. It's crazy. But besides it hitting in that way for me, it was so beautifully produced. Again, we had Mac really playing with like this kind of jazz manipulation, rapping and singing slightly over these funky beats, and showing how he was going into this new space and this new dimension of creativity. There was a real growth and maturity. We got that, of course, in Swimming, and then we got that even more in Circles. So I genuinely thoroughly enjoyed this album. It was an album that followed me a lot throughout the year, because as much as it was touching and as much as it was heart-wrenching to listen to, it was such good music, like, to digest. It was just like good. It had brilliant, like, just like, oh, I don't know how to explain it, but the space that it was something I could listen to constantly. It was something I could absorb constantly and never get tired of absorbing. Also lyrically, Mac was flowing over these beautiful, well-crafted, jazz-fused, kind of manipulated beats and complementing them very well. The songs I like the most were I Can See, Blue World, Hands, and Woods.
And I can't explain it, cause heaven too far when you live in the basement. I'm looking for, I need somebody to save me. Before I drive myself crazy.
Mac Miller's Circles was so touching to my soul, if I'm being honest. Second album in my list is After Hours by The WEEKND. Of course, guys, me being the big EXO stan that I am, After Hours had to be there. The production, sonically, it sounded so rich, yeah? It sounded so rich. It sounded like big money production. There was so much going on in the production. In Escape from LA, I was thinking, what the heck is this?
Got the money, got the cars, got the stealing with the top. I don't criticize. She pulled up to the studio. She locked it for me.
Are you dumb? It's when he goes, she pulled up to the studio. It's like, what? Who told you to do that? Oh my gosh. And then another excellently produced song is Faith. Are you dumb? Are you actually dumb?
I take half the sand and I still stay awake. All my demons wanna pull me to my grave. I want you to only right beside me. I want you to follow right behind.
Blinding Lights, the hit that it is, it's been rinsed out, but it's still a hit. Even the Repeat After Me interlude, the ending Until I Bleed Out, Alone Again at the start. You've got to be kidding me. I like every single song from After Hours. I'm out of breath. And in terms of my top spot, I don't know whether I should be dramatic and give it a drum roll or whether I should just drop it. I think I'm just gonna drop it. My top spot is Alfredo by Freddie Gibbs. I got introduced to Freddie Gibbs this year from that album. And let me tell you something. One of the best introductions of my life. Alfredo for me was such a beautiful album. Again, what really led it for me, just like After Hours, was the production. The production was so eloquent, like silk. It was like butter. The production throughout this whole album was butter. Freddie Gibbs was being so elegant but yet gangster on top of these silky smooth beats. My favorite songs from there is Babies and Fools with Conway the Machine. I love 1985, that guitar, those strings in 1985, are you kidding me? I love Scotty Beam, of course, with Rick Ross. Rick Ross has had a very strong year in terms of featuring. He's popped up in places and I love what he's done every time he pops up, even in that Entanglements track. And then Something to Rap About with Tyler the Creator. This album was outstanding. Really take in Alfredo for how it sounds sonically and Freddie's lyricism on top of it. It's two kind of things you would never put together, but they've been put together and it works. And that's what I liked the most about it. It was the most different kind of thing. Like After Hours, it was a different kind of thing where we had old WEEKND merged with the new WEEKND, this pop kind of dark pop with that old contemporary R&B WEEKND being merged together. It was a bit like that of Alfredo. We had these silky jazz piano keys, you know, just this really smooth production being matched with some grisly gutterish gangster rap by Freddie, but still Freddie also showing a lot of elegance on it sometimes as well, addressing some serious matters, especially in tracks like I believe it's Scotty Beam. Yeah. My execution will be televised. One of the best lyrics of this year is that lyric right there. I appreciate Alfredo, man. It's just brilliant. I even love the art. I love the art of it. I love the album cover. The album cover is legendary. It's great stuff. My list, guys. That is my top 20 list of, you know, all my top 20 albums of this year, 2020. And in terms of notable mentions, we've got 3, 15, 20 by Childish Gambino. I really like that. Crabs in a Bucket by Nines, another UK joint I liked. Twice as Tall by Burna Boy, another Afrobeat joint that I really liked. Critiqued it, but I still liked it. Product of My Environment by Abracadabra was a late release, but it's definitely something that I feel like is another strong UK tape, so I'm going to mention it. Amusing Her Feelings by Division, another kind of R&B, contemporary R&B tape that I appreciated, and I liked that we got something from Division this year. Jaguar by Victoria Monet, very short tape, very short album, but it did its thing. I really got into Victoria Monet this year because of that. Funeral by Lil Wayne. As much as I love the old Wayne, and I feel like, you know, he's really made his mark with his old self, and so it's hard to kind of beat that. I feel like Funeral came very close. I really did like Funeral, so Funeral for me did very well. The Album by Tiana Taylor, another R&B joint that I really enjoyed this year. Lulu by Conway. Conway's Lulu I've been playing out throughout the whole year. I think Shoot Sideways is definitely going to be one of my top songs. Juno by Chain Noir, just listened to that, just reacted to that, you should check it out. But I got into Chain Noir just at the ending of this year. She's released like 3 tapes this year, and one of them, Juno, I really liked and definitely had to say that's a notable mention. Ungodly Hour by Chloe and Halle. Now those two girls are excellent, and their album Ungodly Hour, so much versatility, so much creativity, and has one of my favorite tracks in there from this year as well, Do It. that track is really groovy, I love it. Then we've got Parcelao. I can never say the last name. I cannot say names. I'll write it here, but I'm so bad. I butcher every word. But Send Them to Coventry. Very good UK joint. Definitely made his mark this year. Savage Mode 2 by 21 Savage. I very much enjoyed that album, and I think it would be maybe 25th, maybe 22nd if I had a list of 22. And then Evermore by Taylor Swift. I liked Evermore more than Folklore for some reason, and I know she said that she kind of extended, like Folklore was not the end, she kind of went a bit further, and that was how Evermore was. The aftermath of this space that she was in, the Evermore, the fact that she continued, it just gave us greater stuff. I don't know if that makes sense, but I very much liked Evermore by Taylor, and again, that's a late entry, but it's a notable mention that I thought I would say anyways. But yeah, those are my notable mentions that would be maybe in my top 40 list. And then in terms of EPs that I've enjoyed, Studying Abroad by Massajo is my top EP of the year. That EP is outstanding. I love Massajo, and he has some hits in that EP. Like, that EP is so brilliant. From Bye Felicia to Mystery Lady, that EP is solid. Everyone should check that out. F the World by Brent Faiyaz, yeah, top EP. I love Brent Faiyaz from the bottom of my heart. I have so much love for him. You know, hit me up. And then we have Life on Earth by Summer Walker. I appreciated that EP. Something cute and sweet, you know, not something as strong as like her album up there, but I still very much appreciated that EP. Lost in June by Pip Millett. She's one UK artist you guys need to check out. Lost in June is a beautiful EP, and she's got a beautiful silky soul voice that she really experimented with in Lost in June. One of my favorite tracks from, again, one of those tracks from that EP made my top songs of the year as well, which is a song called Deeper Dark. I like the Isolation Tapes by Mahalia, and I liked When It's All Said and Done by JHENE. Of course, that was a beautiful Stuck on You is a track I'm playing to the death. JHENE has got a beautiful voice, and you gotta check him out if you haven't. But those are my EPs that I like this year, and I said my notable mentions, and I gave you guys my list of top 20 albums. So guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment down below of your thoughts, and smash the subscribe button. I'll see you guys all next time.